Alright guys, it is Wednesday, July 7th, 2021 at 6:31 p.m. Alright guys, I was gonna make this a live stream, but I decided on just making it a large video. Alright, let's start. Fake chips flood China market, fill overseas supplies chain. Counterfeit products have been circulated in China's electronics market for a long time. However, as a global chip shortage intensifies, a large amount of refurbished, substandard fake chips are flooding the market, exposing major deficiencies in China's quality control standard. It says China's Economic Observer reported a chip agent revealed that to meet the growing demand, suppliers were no longer keeping their counterfeit practices secret, and said they were openly creating separate production lines to expedite the sales of counterfeit or refurbished chips. Furthermore, businesses are no longer offering the shoddy products at half price. Many are being sold at full market value. The agent identified two types of counterfeit chips. The first involves recycling used chips for e-waste by removing the logo and cleaning them for resale with new packaging. The second involves packaging the substandard chips from the regular production line and selling them as good products. Not surprisingly, customers were often dissatisfied with the product's performance, reliability, and durability. However, the deficiencies were not immediately evident until after the chips were used over time or under extreme conditions, at which point it would be the customers or manufacturers or the final products who suffer the loss, while the fake chip providers often avoid troubles, according to the chip agent. So, heads up for anybody who's buying overseas supply of chips from China. There are a lot of fake chips out there. Alright, next. Assassins disguised as DEA agents killed the Haitian president. It says Haitian President Jovenel Moise was assassinated in an attack in the early hours of Wednesday at his private residence. Many are wondering how assassins penetrated the security perimeter of this heavily fortified home. Perhaps new insight from the Mary Herald shows assassins claim to be agents of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, according to videos taken by people in the area of the president's home. And you see there a picture of the people coming in with the guns. It says the Herald continues. One of the videos, on the video, someone with an American accent is heard yelling in English over a megaphone. DEA operation, everybody stand down. DEA operation, everybody back up, stand down. However, sources told the newspaper that the assailants, one of whom spoke English, were not the DEA or with the DEA, but rather imposters. They were mercenaries, a high ranking Haitian government official said. So that's sad to hear that the assassins who possibly were disguised as DE agents attacked the Haitian president. I'll leave the link to this article if you guys want to read more about it. Alright, next, China just banned its tallest skyscraper after reports of unexpected wobbling. It looks like the era of building any type of real estate anywhere in China, regardless of nearby population or intent over the use of the building, could finally be over. At least that's what the case for the skyscrapers. That's because the Chinese government is now prohibiting the building of its tallest skyscrapers to ensure safety following mounting concerns over the quality of some products, according to Bloomberg. Apparently, when your country is built on real estate at all costs and for any reason necessary, quality tends to fall by the wayside. Who would have thought? So China is banning some of the tallest skyscrapers being built and warning some others off of their current skyscrapers. Alright, next. Sky News shows Taliban seizing abandoned U.S. bases and treasure trove of weapons and ammo. Simultaneous to global headlines spotlighting the hasty, in the middle of the night U.S. forces quitting Bagram Air Base for good, which briefly resulted in looting of Afghan security, was caught by surprise. Sky News has aired exclusive, shocking footage of the Taliban seizing freshly abandoned U.S. bases, or perhaps not so shocking, considering the constant follies of America's longest ever war. The Taliban on their march are gaining territory at an astonishing rate. The Sky News segment narrates, "They smell victory," the report says. "They want to show us the treasure trove of military riches they seized with it." It says, that's right, Taliban militants gear up for the unexpected offensive on Kabul and other key parts of the country with fresh U.S. supplies, RPGs, rifles, and ammo that were hastily abandoned by the exiting U.S. forces. Many of these boxes supplied by Americans haven't been opened before the Taliban got to them, the Sky report continues. The Taliban commander was heard saying, "It does help us a lot to have a lot of new weapons to use in battle," he went on an estimate some 900 guns obtained by the U.S. base alone, as well as 30 armored Humvees and 30 pickup trucks, likely thousands more that have been collected elsewhere. This at the Pentagon has estimated some 90% of U.S. forces have now departed. So the U.S. left, and they left a lot of weapons and vehicles, some not even opened from boxes, for apparently the Taliban getting them and using them now. Alright, next. Massive blast rips through Dubai's main port, container ship on fire. Okay, it says, naturally, anytime there's a major blast in Central Persian Gulf, the immediate question raised include accident or sabotage. This also given the past tanker wars between Iran and the U.S.-Saudi-Israel nexus. Very quickly in the aftermath, speculation and various theories, including that it could have been an Iran tanker angle, abounded. However, the source of the blazes appeared to be a container ship docked at the port. Alright. So apparently a container ship docked at the port caused that fire. It says about midnight local time, residents across Dubai began taking to social media to report a mysterious, huge blast which shook buildings across the entire city. Initial photos showed an extensive, out-of-control blaze at Jebel Ali, the city's largest commercial port. Major regional source Al Arabia is now confirming a ship docked at the port exploded amid rumors of an oil tanker ignited, with the fire still raging. A blast was heard across parts of the UAE's capital of Dubai Wednesday night, with residents hearing loud explosions according to witnesses. And I'll leave the link so you guys can check out the explosions on video. Alright. Next. Japan orders fourth Tokyo state of emergency, likely barring spectators from Olympics. With the Summer Olympics in Tokyo set to begin later this month, the Japanese government has acquiesced the growing public pressure to declare another state of emergency in Tokyo, as the number of new COVID cases has continued to climb over the past month, even as vaccinations have accelerated. The order of Tokyo's fourth emergency decree since April 2020 has come after Tokyo confirmed 920 new cases on Wednesday, the capital's highest daily tally since May 13th. Tokyo has lifted the previous state of emergency on June 20th. The metropolis has since been under a quasi-emergency order that's set to end on Sunday. The new state of emergency is set to remain in effect on July 12th until August 20th, covering the entirety of the Summer Olympics. On Wednesday, Tokyo's municipal government asked the central government to strengthen its infection control measures, which have notoriously included a temporary ban on alcohol sales at restaurants to anybody who isn't drinking alone, if the quasi-emergency is extended. While Japan has been considering allowing up to 10,000 domestic spectators at the Olympic event, the new state of emergency means spectators will likely be barred from the competition. So the PM Yoshisuga has previously said that the new emergency order could likely include a ban on spectators. The Olympic and Paralympics organizing committees, along with the IOC, will soon hold talks to discuss the response to the state of emergency from Japan. Alright. Next. Bill Gates may buy out Melinda's French share of Gates Foundation. Could a schism at the Gates Foundation eventually lead Melinda French Gates launching her own rival philanthropic giant? In his latest update of the negotiations happening between Bill Gates and his ex-wife, the New York Times reports that Gates will likely get full custody of the foundation that bears its name. As the New York Times points out, the Gates have referred to the foundation as their fourth child. Mark Suman said the CEO of the Gates Foundation, with the largest charitable foundation in the world, broke the news to a group of reporters on Wednesday during a briefing that has been called to announce details about the future of America's largest charitable foundation. He also revealed that the foundation has been gifted an additional $15 billion in assets to and added $50 billion previously amassed in its endowment over 2 decades. Sussman added that if French decides she can't continue to work with Gates after 2 years, she could be gifted her own pool of capital to start her own foundation. In other words, if the two decide that they can't peaceably co-parent the foundation, Bill will buy out his ex-wife. They have agreed that if after 2 years either of them decides that they cannot continue to work together, Melinda will resign as co-chair and trustee, Mr. Schumann said with a message to foundation employees Wednesday. If that happens, he added, Mrs. French Gates could receive personal resources from Bill for her philanthropic work separate from the foundation's endowment. Alright, so I'll leave a link for this article. They're pretty much possibly she could start her own foundation if she and Bill Gates can't keep it civil and amicable. Alright, next. 5 attacks in less than 72 hours. Injuries reported after 14 rockets hit U.S. base in Iraq. A pace of attacks on American and Iraqis is picking up after Biden's airstrikes along the Iraq-Syria border late last month were meant precisely as deterrence and a response to prior drone attacks. Clearly it didn't work, but only served as but the necessary escalation, pretending more to come. At least 14 rockets hit an Aid Assad base Wednesday, and the second such attack of the installation in as many days. The U.S. and Iraq and other Western allies forces operations from the large base in western Anbar province. It's unclear whether the 2 injured are Americans or partner forces. The coalition spokesperson initially assessed 3 injured before revising down to 2. So it says here, OIR spokesman Colonel Wayne Morodo says initial report at approximately 2:30 p.m. local time, Ain al-Assad Air Base was attacked by 14 rockets. The rockets landed on the base and perimeter. Force protection defensive measures were activated. At this time, initial reports indicate 3 minor injuries. Damage is being assessed. So I'll leave the link to this article so you guys can check it out as well. Alright, also, Iran. Major electricity blackouts during hot summer lead to growing anti-regime protests. Widespread power outages in Iran, which have continued this week, have plunged entire cities into darkness and is fueling growing anti-government protest. Less than a month before hardline judiciary cleric Ebrahim Raisi enters office as president. Frequent power cuts have also high neighboring Iraq, given its current reliant for much of its electrical supply on Iran's infrastructure. Multiple social media videos have spread across the internet, which shows Iranians chanting "Death to the Dictator" and other anti-Ayatollah slogans. Throughout, the footage can't be verified. I'll leave a link to this article as well. Alright. Next. Why is NASA working so hard to learn how to defend the Earth from giant asteroids? Did you know that NASA is going to send a spacecraft on a suicide mission in an attempt to change the trajectory of a massive space rock? The good news is that the space rock that NASA will be crashing this spacecraft into is not on a collision course with Earth. It is only a test. But why has NASA suddenly become so concerned with figuring out how to defend the Earth from giant asteroids? Could it be possible that there is something heading toward Earth in the future that they haven't told us about yet? According to NASA, there are more than 26,000 asteroids that pass near Earth, and more than 2,000 of them are classified as potentially dangerous asteroids. Alright, so I'm going to leave the link to this article. I just found it quite interesting that they're possibly sending a spacecraft on a suicide mission to test if they could stop a giant asteroid. That's quite interesting. Alright, next, let's take a look. Hunger is not far away. Grasshoppers invade the western U.S. in the largest swarms in 35 years, plaguing farmers and ranchers. They're arriving in swarms so dense it appears the earth is moving. They're covering roads and fields and pelting ATV riders, and steadily devouring grains and grass to the bedevilment of farmers and ranchers. So there's a lot of grasshoppers. This is a massive population of grasshoppers is proliferating the sweltering American West, where a deep drought has made for ideal conditions for grasshopper eggs to hatch and survive into adulthood. I can only describe grasshoppers in expletives, said Richard Nicholson, a cattle rancher in Fort Klamath, a small community in southeastern Oregon, who once recalled seeing grasshoppers eat thousands of acres a day and cover ground like snow. The insects cause innumerable headaches for farmers and ranchers, competing with cattle for tough-to-find wild forage and costing tens of thousands of dollars in lost crops and associated costs. They are a scourge to the earth, and they just destroy the land, destroy the crops. They're just a bad, bad predator. Alright, so the west of America, the Midwest and the West, I guess, is having the western part of the U.S. is experiencing large swarms of, not locusts, but grasshoppers. Alright. Next. That's insane. More than 710,000 lightning strikes western Canada in 15 hours as unprecedented heat wave and wildfires hit British Columbia and Alberta. Storm-producing fire clouds threw out hundreds of thousands of lightning strikes over wildfire-stricken British Columbia and northwestern Alberta provinces in Canada Wednesday and Thursday, bewildering meteorologists. Look at that. It says insane wildfires and heat wave in western Canada caused more than 700,000 lightning strikes to hit in less than 15 hours, which is unprecedented. That is from June 30th to July 1st. That is a lot. Alright. Massive fish kill in Taal Lake after Taal volcano eruption in the Philippines. Active degassing in the lake bed. Says after covering up the sulfur dioxide emission prior to the Taal volcano explosion in July 1st, 2021, officials in the Philippines want to believe the massive fish kill reported on July 6 in Taal Lake is not linked to the eruption. A video clearly shows signs of degassing and thus acidification of the lake. It says more than 100 metric tons of tilapia and milkfish in Bangus died in Taal Lake in Batangas following the eruption of the Taal volcano on July 1st in 2021. The Bureau of Fisheries of Aquatic Resources said Tuesday, July 6th. BFAR 4A Regional Director Sami A. Malvias said an estimated volume of 109 metric tons of Bangus and tilapia, valued at P8.999 million, had died during the latest fish kill in Talisay, Batangas. So a massive fish kill reported in Taal Lake and Taal volcano eruption on July 1st. Alright. Alright, is the Three Gorges Dam going to resist? Dramatic floods in China hit 27 provinces and regions, leaving only 7 untouched. Floods hit 27 provinces and territories in China, leaving only 7 untouched for now. A total of 17 large rivers are above alarm level. So is the Three Gorges Dam going to resist? Here are some images of the flooding. It says devastating China floods in 2021. You see here the chair and it looks like a living room kind of situation, and then the floor and the side of the building just crashing down. Flooding and a lot of flooding by buildings. It says from the northernmost part of province of Heilongjiang, the southernmost province of Fujian, floods destroyed homes and submerged crops on a massive scale. According to Chinese media, nearly 7 million people were affected by the floods. 24 people were reported dead or missing. The floods have washed away more than 6,000 homes and caused an immediate economic loss of nearly 2 billion across the country. Chinese state media reported that the Heilongjiang province alone floods affected more than 42,000 people and forced nearly 20,000 people to flee. Its neighbor, Inner Mongolia, lost more than 12,000 hectares of food crops in just one city. That's sad to hear. Alright, vicious hailstorm buries Mexican cities in feet of hail. Street turns into raging rivers. Videos and pictures. It says here, severe hailstorm buries parts of Mexico in feet of hail. And you see here all the hail covering cars, covering the road, and people here in traffic and possible accidents because of the hail. It says a severe thunderstorm buried the Mexican municipalities of Nucalpan, Atizapan de Zaragoza, Talinapla, Huiclan in more than 1 foot or 60 centimeters of hail and transforming streets into raging rivers. It says the storm started around 6:20 p.m. and lasted approximately 20 minutes. And there's links to videos and photos of the hailstorm. Alright guys, I'll leave a link so you guys can check out all the hail in these Mexican cities. Alright, next. There is a sunken continent hidden under Iceland, and scientists dubbed it Icelandia. In Iceland, the tip of a vast sunken continent, academics believe they have identified a remarkable geological secret sunken continent hidden under Iceland and the surrounding ocean, which they have dubbed Icelandia. It says an international team of geologists believe the sunken continent could stretch from Greenland all the way to Europe. It is believed to cover an area of 600,000 kilometers squared, but when adjoining areas west of Britain are included in Greater Icelandia, the entire area could be 1 million kilometers squared in size. So that means that all the way underground under Iceland, it could be sunken continent. That is quite interesting. It says, if proven, it means that the giant subcontinent of Pangaea, which is thought to have broken up over 50 million years ago, has in fact not fully broken up. This new theory changes long-held scientific ideas about the extent of oceanic and continental crust in the northern Atlantic region, and how volcanic islands like Iceland have formed. That is quite interesting. I'll leave a link to that so you guys can check it out as well. Alright, next, violent mud volcano eruption in the Caspian Sea sends fireball, black smoke, and flames into the sky of Azerbaijan. It says violent mud volcano eruption in Caspian Sea, off of Azerbaijan coast. Picture on YouTube. Alright, it says a huge explosion has been seen off the coast of Azerbaijan in the Caspian Sea, sending plumes of black smoke and flames into the sky. The blast, which erupted in an area full of oil and gas fields on Sunday, was caused by a mud volcano. None of the energy stations were damaged and no one was hurt, it added. I'll leave a link to this article so you guys can check it out as well. Alright, next, first observation of elusive auroras on Mars. Says the UAE hopes Mars observer spots elusive aurora on Mars for the first time. It says the United Arab Emirates Hope Mars mission made its first major finding just a couple of months after arriving on the red planet when it snagged unprecedented observations of a tricky aurora. Also known as the Emirates Mars mission, HOPE is designed to study Mars' atmosphere across its layers and a global scale throughout the course of the year. But the new finding is outside the main science purview and occurred even before the probe's formal science mission had begun. When scientists were testing the instruments of the spacecraft, in images from one of the instruments, scientists easily spotted the highly localized night side aurora the scientists have struggled to study at Mars for decades. They're not easy to catch, and that's why it seems so basically right away. With EMM was kind of exciting and unexpected. Planetary scientist in the University of Colorado Laboratory for Atmospheric and Space Physics and deputy science led to the HOPE mission. It's definitely something that was on our radar, so to speak, but just looking at our first set of nighttime data and saying, hey, wait a second, is that? It can't be. It is. Was a lot of fun. So how do auroras form on Mars? I'm just going to go down to the part of the article where it shows the auroras. It says it turns out that finding different auroras on Mars than on Earth makes sense since the magnetic situations on the two planets are very different. It says the discrete auroras are tied to understanding of Mars that can only be flushed out during the space age because it turned out that Mars had a very unusual magnetic field. They were held in the 60s expecting to see something like Earth's magnetic field. And they found nothing. And then they realized, wait a second, it's kind of coming and going. What's going on? So this is a picture. It says the discrete aurora on Mars. The bright crescent Mars, the daylight side of the planet. They discrete aurora and the bright crackles seen on the night side of Mars. Pictures Emirates Mars mission. So this is the image of the auroras on Mars. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I know it's a long video, just wanted to make sure I covered a lot of stuff. Alright guys, hit like and subscribe for more news, and see you guys next time. I'll leave a link to all the articles so you guys can check out the stuff for yourself. See you guys next time. God bless you guys.